My family cared more about my drug-dealing thug of a cousin getting out of prison than me graduating with an engineering degree. I graduated 4 weeks ago with an electrical engineering degree with a job already lined up. I invited my entire family on my mother's side to a party the Saturday after the ceremony. I'll just quantify the attendance for comparison. My mom, 2/3 grandparents, 2/5 siblings, and their kids, 3/9 aunts and uncles, 3/27 cousins, and their kids, showed up. We had fun, but my mom bought way too much food. We expected more people to come. I just chalked it up to people being too busy. Last week my cousin got out of his 6-year stay in prison for dealing crack. His sister threw him a party at her house Saturday and so many people showed up it had to be moved to a local park. In attendance, myself, my mother, all of his grandparents, 5/5 of my siblings, 8/9 aunts and uncles, 22/27 of my cousins and a ton of his friends and associates and family related to him but not me. I know it's probably petty for me to be bothered by this but I can't help but feel most of my family doesn't care about how much effort and sacrifices I made to get here. I was kicked out by abusive, now dead, stepdad when I was 17 and barely passed high school because I had to work 2 part-time jobs to keep a roof over my head. My cousin and I both went to the same ghetto high school and I had to deal with years of bullying and harassment for being one of the smart kids acting white and having a lighter complexion. I'm half black. I had to work until I was 22 to save up money for college and once I was able to start my degree it took 6 years to complete because I had to work full-time for the first 4 years until I landed a scholarship and transferred to a university to finish the degree. My cousin is 2 years older than me. In high school he hung out with the same groups of kids that used to bully me and others like me. He spent 2 years as a senior and never ended up graduating. He has a long rap sheet of being a shitty human being. He got in trouble at 16 for being in a group of men who mugged and beat up a father just walking home after work but somehow avoided juvie. At 19 he was busted for being part of a vehicle theft ring, got kicked out of high school and spent 2 years in prison. At 23 he was busted selling crack after getting pulled over for speeding. He was originally going to get out on parole after 4 years but kept getting into fights in prison. Everyone knows he's violent and abusive to others, even his many girlfriends. Yet, most of my family seems to love him. I don't understand how my family can just ignore how bad of a person he is. I spent 6 years working my ass off to get ahead and almost no one cares. He spent 6 years in prison for being a violent thug selling poison to his community and is celebrated like a hero just for being released. Let me analyze this story for you. This story is not just about family favoritism, it's about the heartbreaking collision between merit and dysfunction, effort and apathy, transformation and stagnation. It's about what it means to fight tooth and nail to build a better life, only to be overlooked in favor of someone who has spent most of theirs tearing things down. The narrator's pain runs deeper than hurt feelings over a poorly attended graduation party. It's the emotional reckoning that comes when you realize the people who were supposed to care the most about your triumphs don't. Or at least, not in the way they should. On its surface, the story is a tale of 2 celebrations, one honoring a life built through perseverance, and another celebrating the return of a cousin whose life has been defined by chaos, criminality, and violence. The narrator graduated with a degree in electrical engineering after overcoming an abusive home life, poverty, and social rejection. Their journey was hard one, paved with jobs held through school, bullying endured, and years spent working long hours while studying just to survive. What they accomplished should be monumental to their family. It is the embodiment of everything that breaks generational cycles. And yet, their achievement was met with silence, apathy, and the absence of most of their extended family. In contrast, the cousin, someone who, by every measurable standard, has harmed others and rejected opportunity, was welcomed home from prison with open arms and overwhelming support. The turnout to his celebration wasn't just larger, it was loud, joyful, and deeply communal. His flaws, his crimes, his repeated harm to others, were seemingly erased the moment he returned, while the narrator's accomplishments were barely acknowledged. That kind of comparison doesn't just sting. It destabilizes your entire sense of self-worth and belonging. This isn't just jealousy. It's existential grief. It's the realization that meritocracy, the belief that hard work leads to recognition and respect, doesn't always apply, especially within families where dysfunction, history, and tribal loyalty often outweigh fairness. The narrator's family appears to rally not around what's right, but around what's familiar, what's flashy, what fits their emotional narrative even if it means turning a blind eye to someone's violence and toxicity. The cousin isn't loved for who he is, necessarily, he's loved for how well he plays a role, the prodigal son, the misunderstood bad boy, the one who gets cheered simply for surviving, no matter how much destruction he caused along the way. But the narrator? They were the quiet fighter. The one who left no trail of damage. The one who didn't need rescuing, but desperately needed support. Their success didn't dramatize the family's collective identity. It didn't validate their own choices or give them someone to fix. Instead, it reminded them of what they weren't, of the opportunities they missed, of the people they failed, and maybe even of the guilt they carry. Supporting the cousin might feel like redemption to them. Supporting the narrator might feel like confronting shame. That emotional calculus rewarding dysfunction while neglecting hard-earned success is soul-crushing. It leaves the narrator questioning their place in the family, their worth, even their identity. What does it mean to be good, to rise above, when your own blood doesn't seem to value it? There's a palpable sense of betrayal here, not just that the cousin was celebrated, but that the narrator was invisible. They're not just angry, they're heartbroken, disillusioned, and, most painfully, alone in their success. This story is also about how deeply class, race, and cultural expectations can shape the way families show love and pride. The narrator mentions being bullied for acting white and having a lighter complexion, suggesting that their success may have alienated them even more from a family that equates struggle and survival with authenticity. In that context, the cousin's return may feel more emotionally resonant to the family. His story fits the mold of what's expected and familiar. The narrator's doesn't. Their achievement becomes alien, even threatening, a mirror that reflects back everything the family isn't. Ultimately, this story is about grief for the celebration that never came, for the recognition that was never offered, for the familial love that feels contingent on failure rather than growth. The narrator doesn't want accolades or parades. They want to be seen. They want to feel like their pain and persistence meant something to the people who should have cared most. Instead, they're left wondering why someone who chose destruction gets more love than someone who chose to build. It's not petty to feel this way. It's human. It's devastating. And it speaks to a deeper wound, the one that comes from doing everything right in a world, or a family, that doesn't reward the right things.